earlier, but map 1 is finally about to begin. Clubhouse between Liquid and Soniqs. 1 to win, 1 to go home, and for Soniqs in particular, SI qualification via the points in jeopardy if they lose this game against Team Liquid. If they want to bounce back, if they want to make up for that poor stage 1, it has to start here. It has to start on Clubhouse.
And if you did miss the pre-show for this particular matchup, and for whatever reason you're in Australia waking up at 7 AM to watch this particular matchup, there's also something on the line for the Australians as well. Gaming Gladiators currently sitting above Soniqs on the SI Global standings, and a win here from Soniqs will close that gap and make things very, very interesting. In fact, Soniqs now the only team left in the standings that actually have the opportunity to jump above GG and potentially knock them out.
I already want to talk about the bans. I wondered if this reality was going to happen. You look at both of these teams, very rarely do they ban the shields, and more often than not, the teams, knowing Lagonis' strengths, knowing Canadian strengths, will ban a shield against them. But the nature of the bans is, if one team does not want to ban shields, and only one does, something's going to be up. Likely the Blitz, likely the Fuse. But now here, both teams taking away one of the shield operators. Monty and the Blitz taken down. So we highlighted that both these teams have a core shield player. Canadian for Soniqs, Lagonis for Liquid. Neither will have the option to lean into that.
Who do you think it favors?
That is an excellent question, if I'm being entirely honest. And I think the ironic thing is, if you had looked at both of these teams in the stage, you'd think, wow, that's a real kneecapper. I mean, they rely on the shield so much. When really, it doesn't feel like the shields have been as successful, not only for these two teams, the event, but even necessarily for all teams. I think a lot of us expected them to be this oppressive force that the moment a team sent a blitz into the site, it was either going to be this crazy misdirection, allowing somebody to hit the back unnoticed, or they just mow down 3 people with the shield and the pistol. But with neither of these teams necessarily having that dominant success, I honestly don't know.
Well, only time will tell. Let's jump into this one. Soniqs kicking things off on the defensive side, and it will be a full roam employed here for the opening round. Even the Bandit in play here in terms of hard breach denial with the Kaye taken off the board. That naturally means that hatches are far easier to open up for the attack, and that then sees the defense respond with a full map roam. Complemented by the mute as well from Canadian. That will help in shutting down some of the information gathering tools from Liquid, or at least look to try and stall that out, who they themselves are bringing double hard breach, likely to play in to this roam and try to flush out Soniqs.
Will be a key to flush out players like Ambi, like Rexen or Surf, whoever decides to be roaming, though with a lot of the utility Soniqs are bringing. No immediate roaming operator jumps out at you. I don't know why I said that. Of course it's Canadian going to be roaming. Always a bit of a paradoxical player. You think IGL hard support with a lot of youngsters, but he is typically the one going for these solo roams, going for these lurks, often trying to gather that early information. So Liquid immediately try to pounce. Candela's in. They basically pinched him behind this weight rack. You'll be able to drop down as the player on metal falls off, but there's still somebody in strip cutting him off. Really excellent clear to start right there. 2 prongs on the top, somebody cutting off on the top floor. And now Ambi put to 1 HP. Rexen downed as well. Both, I imagine, trying to play top main to allow Canadian to retreat, and even they almost get punished for their effort.
Yeah, really clean clear there onto Canadian. He tried his best to stall out time in through Jim, knew that dropping was a risk. Eventually his hand was forced and then cut off on that rotation back towards site. So clean work there from Liquid, and the damage inflicted elsewhere likely to confirm the round for them, or at the very least put them in a very, very favorable position at the midway point of the round. Surf over towards CC, however, is able to reclaim one back. That's Nesk on the ground. A bit of a talking point in the pre-show as to what kind of Nesk we may get today.
Oh, it's a dead one right now in round 1. Now you can see Liquid a little bit concerned about this. Still a lot of drones available for Liquid. 5 remaining as we enter the minute point, but they're going for this clear. They want to hunt them down. It'll be a 5v3 with 2 players very low HP, but I am concerned that Liquid might be wasting a lot of time, and Surf has been so good so far this tournament. Hipfire headshot, another 1v1 isolated, but look at how much time he's wasted just by remaining this persistent threat, this carrot that Liquid just cannot resist hunting down. Late reinforcement on the middle church panel as well. So because Liquid focus all that much on trying to clear out Surf, take down that lurker, now Soniqs have a bit of a stronghold.
Will it be strong enough, though? Not much in the way of defensive utility still up here for Soniqs, and low HP. 3 Candelas still up as well for Liquid, who will stack this triple wall position.
Those Candelas will go in. Remember, both Soniqs players low HP, so even if Liquid has spent a lot of time, that damage they did early will pay dividends right now. As the Bandit falls, Ambi on 1 health, no utility to delay this any longer. Once that fire dissipates, once that Candela goes in, Soniqs guns need to come alive to stop this execute from going down. Pre-fire behind the bar, but Grixer gone unnoticed inside of blue. It'll have to be a 1v3 with very low time to Soniqs. They want to get there first. Flashbang goes in to delay just even a little bit more. Allow Liquid moving into the post to get to those exterior positions, hold outside of the church wall, and a high-low peek, watching Grixer swinging the single door right now. Once Liquid have gotten to the site and have created this structure, there's very little Grixer can do with no utility whatsoever to try and tip it into his favor. Very strong clear from Liquid, guys, I have to say. And if shields were going to be a problem, or the absence of them were going to be a problem, you wouldn't know for round 1.
Certainly not. Really clean start on top floor from Liquid with that pinch onto Canadian. In the meantime, a lot of damage done elsewhere. Did a good job disrupting the mainstairs hold that we saw from Ambi as well under quite a bit of pressure. That was a hallmark of one of their previous Clubhouse matches here at the Montreal Major, where it was a little bit more effective. Good attempt from Surf, though, on this re-aggress in through CCTV. Brought the round into the realm of possibility, but unfortunate with a lack of utility and a good attacking pattern there from Liquid in the final stages of that round. They were able to get it across the line with a confident start.
I also think that Canadian deciding to take that risk, go for that solo roam. Now you know that Liquid are in good form right now to clear out a position like that. Because imagine if Canadian's able to get away with it. Maybe when the next defensive rounds we see, it's a bit too early to tell, but maybe they go for a bit more solo roams. But now you know, all right, we tried that. It did not work whatsoever. Surf briefly brought the man count back, but it was not effective. Now I imagine we'll see a pretty quick adaptation by the Soniqs, especially once we get back to that church site. We won't see it, I don't think, on Gym Bedroom, Guz, because just 5-man anchoring on this site does not really work. And 4-man anchoring is what Soniqs will have to do, and then no matter what position they decide to hold.
Well, Surf, the first to fall here in the second round, very early on in the piece from that bedroom window position. We didn't get to see whether or not it was a spawn peek attempt or whether or not it was bad timing, but either way, it's not the best of starts here for Soniqs. Now, there is no Ying in play this time around from Liquid, so I suppose it's not the absolute end of the world. Otherwise, that direct counter onto the Candelas would not have been available. But nonetheless, it is still a loss. Jacuzzi to be opened up. No hard breach denial being brought here from Soniqs, understandably so. Kaid off the board. Oh, pardon me, the Bandit has been brought to the board, but not actively played. Currently over towards Garage is actually Ambi at the moment, so looking to counteract the map clear from Liquid, but at the moment, their efforts are a little bit more direct.
And they don't exactly have a lot of tools to make simply a direct take work, aside from, well, if you want to count the 5v4 as a tool, or maybe the concussions from the Zofia or the secondary utility, but as you said, there's no obvious Candelas or Bees or wow, Canadian just stunned at what to do on the nade right there. Rexon gets aggressive to try to bring a pick back. I like that play. Don't just let yourself settle into the 3v5. He's caught Liquid off guard and removed the Deimos as well. I don't believe a single Deathmark tracker had been used by Palu up until that point, so not only important to keep it close, but important to kill given the utility still present.
So a minute 15 then on the clock as Soniqs just keep this round interesting. But here's the split attack approach then from Liquid. It's Maya to vault in over towards CCTV and provide some counter pressure outside of the 2 players playing the Jacuzzi breach for Liquid. Push comes through though and it's immediately shut down. Good read from Ambi. 3 versus 3 minute on the clock.
And indeed, look at this. The moment that kill comes through, Liquid just try to push in. Rexon still holding the line onto the Jacuzzi breach in the bathroom. Oh, close. Tries to swap weapons, thinks Lagonis will be a little bit slower than he is, and Rexon pays for that. Hopes he can get into position, and Liquid still have 40 seconds to play with in this 2v2. Big concern, though, Grixer and Ambi both still have C4s. Liquid will try to take as much control as they can. Resets in particular, giving Lagonis a wide gap to put this diffuser down, but Grixer wins such an important fight. Lagonis spotted pushing through the breach. He'll move into Logi, try to make this a 1v1. He'll have to get back to site eventually. But Soniqs, such a good crossfire, playing passive, playing off of each other's swing, will not let Liquid's lead survive for long.
Because the guy's walking and you're saying nothing. I will not talk over you, just say the call.
Well, you can hear the comms from Soniqs, just looking to refocus off the back of that round win. For me, though, a key moment in that round was probably the pick from Ambi over towards Con onto Maya. That split pressure really could have disrupted the defensive pattern from Soniqs. I think Liquid were reliant on him finding a pick or at least a decent amount of pressure to then facilitate the stack over towards the Jacuzzi breach, but it didn't quite land. And then as they filtered through into the likes of that BPC, Soniqs had a really good read and played quite well around the established utility that was still available.
And I do want to highlight something Rexon just talked about right there. It was an issue of the comms he was talking about. No broader trend, but one specific thing he wanted to fix. And one thing that I've always heard as a perennial problem Soniqs have been the comms. I mean, if you've ever talked to them, you've got a lot of pretty vocal players. Rexon, fast talker, talks a lot. Ambi, fast talker, talks a lot. Canadian, very, very vocal. But even before he came on, it's always been the comms have always seemed to be one of the issues SQ have had. And in the game against Elevate yesterday, I talked to Ambi and he said, yeah, comms were a bit of a problem on Nighthaven. Part of the reason why it was so back and forth, but once we got that ironed out, they were golden. We were able to close out the series. So if you do see some mistimings between SQ or things like that, might be something to consider. And again, even if you have missed comms, if you have Rexon who's willing to take gunfights like that, able to win gunfights like that, even if you end up making mistakes, the reason Soniqs can be such a big threat is they have a lot of players that can bail them out of really poor situations. On CCTV Cash in particular, you see a dot coming through from Rexon. Can't think of a better player I would put in a position like that.
The double hard breach attack here. And the impact EMP to help facilitate the wall from being opened up. Surf will consider the bandit trick, but good utility there from Liquid, and the frag grenade will ultimately force him back. So a win for Liquid in the early portion of this round, but to be fair, they have gotten the opening kill as well in both rounds so far. So it hasn't been the biggest of concerns for them. At the 2-minute point then, resets actually to lurk down below, in through Arsenal, may look to push through blue, through to red. Options are plenty from that particular position. There's more groundwork to be achieved elsewhere. Lagonis into bot garage. Ambi, though, is contesting. We'll see how eager he is to hold this particular position, keeping in mind that that lurk pressure from down below could find him in an awkward spot. And I think Stock as well is being pressured here by the attack.
You got 3 people, actually, that could all look towards Ambi's position, and, well, that's just sort of the strategy bearing fruit for Liquid right there. And Esk even turning attention to Bar will catch Canadian moving down below. You're going to start feeling a lot of heat if you're Rexon at the moment. You're supposed to play your life on Rafters right now, and with your Swamp player taken down, any support you had in Bar gone, Rexon not only might have to start taking fights, but as we can recognize, Liquid have a lot of utility to deal with this. The Capitao in particular, the Firebolts, sure, the Dot can stim himself up. He is meant to withstand that Capitao utility, but with a 5v3, you have players that can just rush you, send up those Rafters, and take that fight with you before you can react.
Can Soniqs fight back here in the 3rd round? They find themselves in a very rough position, and that bolt of utility is about to come through. The flames land, and Rexon finds himself caught in between the flames, in between a rock and a hard place, and the stim comes through, but here's the rush to follow. Rexon with no support should fall.
Should fall indeed. The flashbangs go out. How is this man still alive? Oh my god, 1 HP! Surf will try to provide some support from up top. He still gets a kill. Grixer helping out too. Garage has held on far longer than it should have. In Soniqs, it might not be completely doable, but there's the smallest chance, the most narrow way through round 3. They'll tag up Palu, the man with a diffuser, moving into the site. Still 14 seconds left. Surf might be able to rotate down, land that C4. Grixer has another toxic canister, which will force Palu to push through, but despite pre-aiming right, the shots just simply do not land. Nesk gotta pick it up, and there is simply no time. Grixer 7 seconds to get into this position, fine with the diffusers going down with 1 shotgun shot. Will seal around that Soniqs had no business winning.
Well, we joked a little bit before this match as to where we're drawing the line in the sand. I'm probably more in the Team Liquid camp, so that Gaming Gladiators may have a chance for the top 16, but after a round like that, I'm a little bit stressed, and we're only 3 rounds in. How the hell did Soniqs bring that one back?
The fact that Rexon survived, not on, because we often say 1 HP as a more broad category, really means 1 bullet away from death. Rexon literally had, after both stims and both firebolts, 1 HP. Surviving there for any longer than he already did was ridiculous. Getting a kill there is downright absurd. But you have to commend Soniqs, I think, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Look past your Liquid bias. Commend Soniqs. for supporting Rexon in that very difficult position, because he had Grixer helping him out from top especially.
Soniqs, you have my commendation for that round. Will it be short-lived, though? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think for Liquid, though, that will be a very frustrating round for them to bounce back from. They had all the pieces in the right places, and the connection just was not quite there. The early round continues to be strong. It's 3 opening kills in a row for Liquid, but the mid to late round proving to be a challenge. And Soniqs there back over towards CCTV and Cash with a phenomenal hold. To basement we go then. And I think the ball really is in the court for Soniqs to throw something different at this site. Last time we saw an extensive roam with the hatches pre-opened and Liquid absolutely decimated them off site. This time though, it looks like they are going to lean into playing a little bit more defensive on the objective itself. As you can see currently, every single player is on basement. Ambi though will continue this main stairs strat that he has been experimenting with here at the major. And in fact, he's actually gone searching above for maybe a couple of drones. Looking to chip away at that utility.
Look at how hot someone is closing in on him, though. Look, that's Nesk on the IQ right there. Right on the heels of that drone moving on to main. Fortunately, Ambi not really to destroy too much damage to the intel economy, but he'll likely play the landing now on the first floor. You can hear that SMG-11 go off. I believe that is Ambi still, yep, firing some shots, just destroying some intel. They're looking to waste time via denying them that intel gathering device, because by ceding control of the whole map right here, and with the Cade being banned, Liquid should have no problem opening these hatches with the Hibana, with the Selmas, even hard breach charges in Maya's hands. Actually getting open those angles is not going to be a problem. The Incandelas will look to push Ambi back. He's pre-placed a smoke canister as well to make sure, well, I was going to say that he could retreat, but Ambi has basically not moved from that existing position. He's really looking to try and catch somebody from Liquid on a bit of an overextension.
Yeah, he's proven that he's rather content to play for life in this position as opposed to solely time. We'll have a peek above for the SMG. While the initial shots don't quite land, but the response will from Nesk, who's quietly got himself up to 4 kills, I may add. So a good start here for Liquid again in the early portion of this attack. But conversion has been the problem for them so far. Fortunately for them, though, the 3 nitros remaining have already been used, and Nesk is able to double down.
I mean, they've had a problem with conversion, but 5-3, I mean, similar to what we saw on Gym and Bedroom Mode Acquire, and I was about to say, if you want to replicate that success, Rexon putting his face where it doesn't belong and not getting punished for it. Rotates below the Moto hatch, and Maya, the Ying, another important operator. When Rexon peeked Gym window last time, it was the Deimos he killed with full utility. This time, it's the Ying with likely more important utility for this closer for Team Liquid. Resets on low HP as well, but Nesk has been creeping forward inch by inch, trying to catch Soniqs off guard, fire some shots through the wall. Surf put to not low HP, but enough to maybe tip the scales in a gunfight. He'll reposition with that shotgun. Love that aggression from Surf right there. Completely retakes control of blue and can look over, support his team by peeking Moto. Rexon peeking the prone holes, but there's so little time for Liquid at this point. Palu needs to clutch, needs to hold these angles. Lagona should be able to put the diffuser down in time, and yes, he will. On the close angle, Palu loses that fight, though. Both kills going Soniqs' way. Their lead only grows wider, and Liquid's problem on the conversion. 4 opening kills. And how many rounds do they have, guys? Is it 4? Because I don't think so.
That felt personal, Carter.
It wasn't supposed to be personal.
You looked me in the eyes.
But I did look you in the eye and say that, didn't I? It got personal about halfway through.
I never do that shit in scrims.
I never do that in scrims. I love that from Rexon. The self-awareness.
Yeah, Liquid find themselves in quite the predicament now, and tactical timeout will be called in response. They need to find composure in the late round. They keep setting themselves up nicely, whether it be with the opening kill, which has been the case in every single round, then typically in combination with good groundwork, with hard breach, and their utility sets have been rather good for the most part. Losing a couple of key engagements, even despite, for the most part, again, having good reads, Soniqs out-dueling them. You know, the short take there and Palu missing that fight, you know, finding it difficult to cover for the post, etc. Just a couple of examples like that are compounding for Team Liquid. And this is only bolstering the confidence of Soniqs, who are going to continue to double down with this playstyle.
You know what's funny? Not to twist the knife a little bit, but it feels kind of like that VP Chiefs game earlier.
Okay.
But I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that as an actual serious point, because you and I were watching that game. What was the big problem Chiefs had? It seemed they'd start out fine. They would have that early to mid-round was very successful, but what was tripping them up? It was that transition to the site. It was that conversion, and it was often in positions on this exact map, like close on Moto door or in Moto itself, where somebody had slipped in, gone unnoticed, and in this case, it's not as flashy as maybe it was from VP earlier. Maybe it's not even as low time, but Rexen slipping in, unnoticed, makes it a 4v3. And Soniqs have been overperforming in enough gunfights that that one kill, that difference between a 3v5 and a 3v4, actually becomes really, really winnable, especially when Surf decides to actually take that fight with Nesk inside of blue. That really, even ignoring the Rexen gunfight, that might be the big difference maker right there, because if Nesk is able to take blue, the site is in complete disarray.
Yeah. I think for me, Surf has been one of the more exciting players to watch at this event, and specifically this match in isolation. He's definitely had some good moments and rewarded accordingly with 6 kills thus far. And we'll see if he can continue to roll that momentum forward. We jump over to Gym Bedroom for round 5. And early signs from Liquid are that they may go for a bit more of a map clear this time around. Last time out, they were relying on a Maya flank into a triple stack jacuzzi, and it did fall flat. Unfortunately for Liquid, they are going to be playing straight into the room here from Soniqs. You have Canadian over towards CC, actively tricking the breach. You also have both the Castle and the Legion of Ambi and Rexen respectively on this half of the map as well.
They have spotted that though. They know somebody's actively tricking the wall because Lagonis just saw it, and then they had the drone spotting the guy red, and they spotted the Legion before all of that. So they do know that there is at least 2, but likely 3 players stacked on this side right now. We'll see how Liquid decide to react. They demos track one of them. Ambi, the player playing furthest down away from CCTV, once he gets that death mark, he immediately rotates back. He was on secret. There's nothing really Maya can do about that, so it's almost just kind of a waste of a death mark at that point. Not Maya's fault, but Ambi just in a good position that once he gets tracked, he can fall back and nullify that utility entirely. Soniqs also now falling back to the setup overall. Red Stairs shield and cash hold, but guys, we also saw in the Chiefs game earlier, gotta be careful how long you hold that Red Stairs.
Yeah, absolutely. Canadian then to bolster his position in cash with those bandit batteries, and Rexen to help alongside, who will actually progress forward a little bit here and into a more aggressive position. Breach actively being held though at the moment from Liquid.
Actively being held. The Soniqs defense too. Thought maybe we'd see a complete reversion to a hold onto the site, but Soniqs are defending cash like their lives depend on it. Another opening kill for Liquid, 5 in a row, but never quite a stark lead like that. Grixer will make it a little bit smaller, but just a little bit. It's been the 3v5s that Soniqs have been able to work their way out of. That kill is important, but a 2v4, a 2v5 for the briefest of moments is a little bit of a different situation.
Surely from here, Liquid are able to convert the rotation to come through from the attack, but these Zoto canisters will prevent the wall from being opened up. Only 35 seconds on the clock. Grixer will have enough util.
He's still, yeah, I was about to say, he's still got all 3. I mean, I kind of appreciate Liquid's foresight almost, or at least the go-getter attitude. And we still want to open the jacuzzi wall. 30 seconds left, but it's also only 30 seconds left. The position a 2v4 can be most winnable are moments like this, but nobody's in a direct position to counter the gym plant. He's planning right on that hatch though, and will think better of it. Rotates off. We did see somebody moving down below. That's Grixer with the C4. Rexen, the only one close to the site right now, and he's solo HP. Everybody from Liquid moving in for the kill, but we gotta put this diffuser down. We've only got barely any time left.
Oh no!
He just found the way through. He's left behind you. Rexen! Almost lets it slip away. ADHD dividing his attention a little too much there. But oh my god! We are reaching chalk territory.
Oh no.
Cash Frank. Bro, I'm literally deaf. I can't hear this fucker. So pro tip, Paul, pro tip. You can, if you place the C4 by gold and then sit by the jukebox, you can see him. Okay.
I'll keep that one in mind.
I was about to say, sit by goal, you can see him from the jukebox. I love that. Giving a little knowledge.
You wouldn't get that anywhere else.
So we're 5-0 in opening duels, and it's not going well for Liquid.
I don't think I've ever seen so many opening kills not converted in a match.
I actually love, you literally just got, Rexen wasn't sprinting or nothing. He's literally just like waddling with the super shorty, just hanging out. Everybody looking for the guy with the C4, looking towards main. And he literally looks at not one, but 2 players. He downs the guy with the super shorty first. That's the funniest part. He kills the buck and then downs the planter. It's just a comical sequence of events right there.
What the fuck are you doing? Are you guys not
After the TAC timeout too, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like that was actually a 2v5. That was actually a 2v5. I did not think that was going to happen. I'm kind of stunned, to be honest with you guys. I mean, what do you even say at this point?
I think Soniqs may be going to 6 Invitational 2025 at this rate, potentially, if they keep this going. The unfortunate thing is, it's not even a situation now, right, where it might be like a Sonic selection and Liquid can kind of roll over a bit and say, oh, let's wave the white flag and refocus. This is their map selection.
Well, that's what I was actually going to touch on, which is like, it's not like Clubhouse is a bad map for Soniqs. They've played it multiple times throughout the NAL this year, or sorry, throughout this year overall, though less so since Canadian joined the roster. I think only 2 times overall, and one was that G2 game where they got a really, really strong scoreline. But this is Liquid's pick. As you said, this is the map you should be feeling better on. Again, Canadian does decide to solo roam on the opposite side of the map. It's really the 2 times you've had such a strong start for Liquid. Neska peaks main stairs as Ambi goes for that trade, and it's another 5v3, guys.
Uh-oh.
Surely, they get it at 2 minutes remaining. It's unlosable.
No. Can't believe you went and said that. Well, we'll see. Can Liquid convert? Unironically, a 2-4 scoreline actually isn't that disastrous given how they've been in this match. Nesk for a 3rd. Rexon falls. Surf has been good this afternoon, and he does find one back.
You had to say his name. But there he goes. Maya cutting him down. Very boring round overall as Liquid just peak everything. Nesk on for 3. Surf gets 1, then falls. So now they just pinch the site. Grixer losing most of that SMG-11 ammo. The kill's a little bit tight. Grixer surviving actually a hell of a long time given how much control Liquid have inside of CCTV itself. But they stopped the bleeding after choking. I mean, let's be honest, that could probably be like a 5-1 half for Liquid if they can just convert so many of those advantages, and yet a 2-4 feels like robbery in the end.
Liquid, though, able to refocus and rather dominant there in the final round of the half. I'm sure they'll take that one. You noted it as being boring. Was that because of just the way in which it played out, or more so because Soniqs lost it?
Because Soniqs lost it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, almost entirely that. No, it was boring in the way it played out, but not in like not in a bad way. It's just like, oh.
It's just one of those rounds where they're just, you know, finding random picks here and there.
Yeah, the Canadian is solo roaming a gym. Nesk wins the 1v1 because obviously it's Nesk. Peaks main stairs, wins the fight with Ambi. More impressive is just the quick reactions on that. And then once he gets that 3rd kill off screen, it's a 5v2. I felt the same way about the gym bedroom round, though to a lesser extent, because at least we had like, you know, we were 2 minutes in instead of 2 minutes left. But at that point, I mean, sure, Liquid have had problems converting, but 5v2 before we reach the minute in mark, like, come on. Nobody, like, literally nobody can throw that. It's impossible. It is literally impossible.
Well,
not literally, but it basically is impossible.
Maybe in the regions that you cast.
That's true. I don't have the experience you do. I don't know what Odium has in store sometimes, but that is an OS team. Look, see, were you impressed with that?
Reference, yeah.
Were you impressed with that?
Very impressed.
Yeah, I know.
So round 7 then. Switch of sides, and Liquid elect to go basement for their opening defense. As is evident by their operator lineup, it is very anchor heavy. They're going to look to stall out time off the back of the Tubarao. They have Echo for plant denial and information late. And keep in mind the Warden as well, available as a hard counter onto Canadian on the Ying, who notably is yet to find a kill, but such is life for Canadian sometimes.
It's the way it goes. I also don't think, guys, I think you'd agree, not a big shock that as both shields are banned, Ying basically being played almost every round by every team, it feels like. Not really surprising given the strength she has, but also kind of the role she fills. If the Blitz can sprint it and distract or cause chaos, the Ying can do something very, very similar. This is a good setup for Liquid, by the way. Soniqs definitely in their Nighthaven game against Elevate yesterday struggled with the clock a little bit, specifically when a roam would slowly lure them into the building at the defense's pace and then have a lot of utility on the site. So that will be something that Soniqs need to be cautious of. You got that 4-2, but in many ways, you should not have gotten that 4v2, considering the way Liquid were starting a lot of those rounds. But as you move in, as you get this control and open up these floorboards, be conscious of that clock and make sure you keep that Ying alive too.
Soniqs needing to be mindful of the mirror as well. Not bringing an Ashe as hard counter, but they do have the ranged hard breach that can deal with those windows. So we'll see what they like to go for, and right on cue. Grixer down main will deal with the 1 triple. Pretty pretty easy done, pretty easy work. Montreal can stall that out temporarily. At least I believe that's where it's being used, and that is the case. It is still 2 in the pocket here for reset, so that will burn a little bit more time. Certainly a big influence, or big emphasis rather, from Liquid in trying to maintain control for this bot main position.
I almost wonder if you use this finals auto canister and then C4 the X-Kairos on the opposite side just to waste more time. I mean, we know, but Grixis only has 6. If you keep this mirror window up, sure you have the deployable shield, but it's just one more thing piling on for Soniqs right now, and what is getting to be a very, very late round. Sure, they have this intel in sight, sure they have this information, but as Rexon goes down, Soniqs have something workable. 4v3 as the Candelas go in, but now it's a stalemate. They've got to push forward, try to get this diffuser down. Great angle by Maya to find that, but it's all collapsed afterwards. Despite the warding getting that pick, everything around it, Canadian in particular, I think a double kill with the pistol at the end there. Soniqs up 5-2, another round that felt like it was trending away from them, and yet, here we are.
Well, right on cue, Canadian finding a couple of key picks. He was able to snake his way around through Armory, catch the Warden from behind. Dodging the Warden was a huge win con there for Soniqs in that round, given that aggressive reposition down long in a good position to catch those attackers as they dropped down the hatch, immune to the flashes from the Candelas. But again, Canadians' pathing and timing just good enough to be able to find those picks, and doing so collect another round win for Soniqs. It's a 2-5 scoreline, so a 3-round lead. And Liquid just continue in the late round to have issues. I don't know what we can necessarily mark that down to specifically.
I don't think you can, in my opinion. Like,
it has been a rough day at the office, though, to kick things off.
Especially when, I mean, you know, you're already qualified for SI, not a big deal if you're Liquid, but you made semifinals at Montreal. You were considered to be the best team in Brazil for basically everything up until the final best of 3, where you lost to FaZe, and they became the 4-time back-to-back winners of Brazil. But you're still a favorite to go deep in this tournament. And sure, you really get unlucky in that you don't get maybe like a Chiefs, maybe like a Black Dragons that have been struggling, a team you played against a lot. No, you get Soniqs. Best team at NA, really strong IGL, really strong individual players. That is what the team you have to face to survive in Montreal. And you're doing really well for the first, like, minute and a half, 2 minutes. You're wasting time, you're getting advantages, you're denying utility. It's all going great. And then some guy on dock with 1 HP, hip-fire headshots you on rafters, and it all starts going awry. Canadian with a pistol gets ahead of your warding glasses. It has just been, frankly, ridiculous stuff, but still very good plays from the Soniqs. But still for your Liquid, you're just like, dude, come on. I'm doing everything right, and it's still not going well.
Yeah, man, that's a testament to Soniqs, especially on a map with such an established meta like Clubhouse. Being able to find the smallest edge on any particular objective or position or circumstance is very much easier said than done on a map like this.
100%.
So they have definitely been rewarded in this match. Triple drone on the roof.
I say the whole gang is there.
Yeah.
It's average Soniqs attack at this point. A lot of people droning, finding information. I think Platwall might be open from like a Selma charge or something. I'm not entirely sure. You have 2, and now we're going for the con push. Canela's going in with blind red. Dokkaebi call goes out at the same time. Much to try to bait out these rotations. He swings in. I think actually shoots the mute jammer off the... No, not mute jammer. Bandit battery off the back of it. Excuse me. And we'll allow the con wall to be opened up. Another rotation from the Soniqs at the moment. But look at how spread out they are.
Could time become a concern for Soniqs in this round? 60 seconds on the clock. Another Candela expended by Canadian. Elsewhere, the EMP and exothermic for Kennel's wall, and that will be opened up successfully. Rotation then to follow.
All this utility's going out, and there's no follow-up by the Soniqs at the moment. Paulo sends a C4 through the con wall, and so Grixer falls to it. Nice shot by Rexon, but Liquid, again, have the advantage, have this lead, but they've had it so many times before, and will they let it slip away? Lagona's on for 2 now as Canadian and Surf idly watching as the round slips through their fingers. Surf immediately moves in through the plat wall, but Resets is just there waiting. This kind of feels like how the previous round should have gone. Liquid with all their positions, all of the time on their side, everything going their way. And now with no Canadian 2-piece, no bobbing and weaving through the site, Liquid get around that finally, from beginning to end, they deserve.
Yeah, clean work there from Liquid in the prior round. Soniqs tried to experiment a little bit with that con here and initially had decent pressure come through off the back of the Candelas. Perhaps didn't find as much as they would have liked, and then saw the Nitro in response begin the disruption. Rotation followed from Soniqs and eventually opened up Kennel's wall, but I think at that point they were already in a bit of a rough spot. Here is said Nitro style Grixer fell. Ultimately then Canadian left alone. There was really nothing he could do from that position, and as Liquid had reaggressed, they're still playing with a decent amount of confidence and positivity, Liquid, for my liking over the course of this matchup. Again, conversion and execution hasn't quite been there, but I wouldn't say they've at any point really dropped their heads and you know, dug their heels in the ground and said, oh, we're not going to do anything differently. We're just going to see if we can brute force this particular playstyle. It hasn't been the case. And
I think that's
rewarded that.
That's kind of the funny thing is, like, I think if we're being objective, Liquid have probably been the better team overall. Obviously.
Well, you said that, not me.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why I said it, because from you, it's biased. You with your Eggo waffle cardigan, whatever this is.
You don't like it?
No, I do like it.
Thank you.
It's actually very soft.
That means a lot coming from Steve Jobs.
What I'm releasing today is Soniqs SI Qualification. It's a new line of products of NA being on top. Not my best, but it was okay. I tried. But anyway, the point I was making was, Liquid have in many ways, I feel like, been the better team if you want to like grade it just on time in the lead. 5v3s, 5v2s, and then it's been a lot of, to be fair, really good individual plays from the Soniqs that have earned those rounds. But Liquid have had such a strong start to so many of these rounds that the conversion, of course, has been an issue, and Soniqs deserve all 5 rounds they've got, absolutely. But Liquid have been doing so many things right, and to see them not get rewarded with a lot of these wins is just mind-boggling. But then in that round, of course, basically everything from beginning to end, stalling out the Soniqs, forcing basically everyone to push in with little intel. It works out. You feel good afterwards. As we go to Gym Bedroom, it could be a similar story. If Soniqs spend too much time droning they get caught up on Garage or caught up on CCTV and Cash, we could really see the same thing, and I think this 2-round lead from the Soniqs can evaporate very quickly.
I think that could be the nature of attack as well. Just generally in Siege, smaller mistakes typically get exposed a little bit more and can be far more devastating in most situations comparatively to defense. And so I think if Liquid, again, can maintain their mental, they might be in a position here to chip away at this lead.
Rexon creeping in, though. Capital Bolt's going out. Nesk has to peek a little bit, but good follow-up by Ambi. Playing on the Swamp Stairs, we'll get an opening pick for the Soniqs. I think that might be the first one this entire series up until this point. I think it's been 8 in a row for Team Liquid. Now finally, Soniqs have a 5v4, one of the strongest positions they've been in up until this point. Lagonis now falling back, and it will be a complete sight hold from Lagonis. Or, sorry, from Liquid as a whole.
Yep, first opening pick for Soniqs.
Would it be funny if they choke it?
I don't know if funny is the right word, but it would be...
I mean, with this low time...
Yeah. Looks like Jacuzzi has at least been opened up, but Resets has been able to fortify his position in Bathroom, and so that push through may still be a challenge. Has been identified by Canadian, however, and he'll rotate around. Will it be a Jim Winjo execute, or will it be Jacuzzi? 35 seconds.
30 seconds now. Positions like what Meyer are holding right now can really trip up the attack, but this late round droning will spot him close on the Gym window. So if it is going to be an execute from there, they are aware of the Bandit playing close. Now moving behind the weight rack, again, trying to keep one step ahead of the offense. The Canadians' reaction just a little too quick. Ambi as well, moving in with the rest of the team, now setting this up, but look at this angle from Lagonis. Downs him, but it's not completely low on time. The 180 from the Warden might just keep it alive, but no utility. He's got to land this C4. Can Palu get in the position? With so low HP, this plan will not be denied. Valkyrie and Warden both one shot away from death. And Soniqs will escort them with a welcoming hand. Match point 6-3. Their first opening pick and 100% conversion.
I almost thought that you had wished the opening kill conversion going the way of the opposition into fruition, right? Because it had all the inklings of Soniqs losing that round with the denial from below.
That was me tempting fate and knowing that I'd be right.
It was a tease.
I say that. However, switch positions. Palu with the C4 still in hand, and maybe Lagonis. Maybe that's a different story. then again...
Were you at least a little bit nervous?
Oh, I was extremely nervous. Are you kidding me? Lagonis hits that 180 and domes the guy coming in from strip. Yeah, I was about to lose my mind. I was very, very scared. Look at this. I mean, this is ridiculous from Lagonis. That kill, obviously, but the flick onto Grixer behind that. And also, very noble sacrifice from Grixer right there, because by giving up his life, the attacker, I think Canadian, was able to walk in, grab the diffuser, and back up before Lagonis could get that angle again and maybe take him down. So very important that Grixer took the fight. Dying, less important, but the fact that he took that fight allowed them to get the diffuser and get into the post.
A worthy sacrifice.
Exactly. Worthy very much so, because now Soniqs are up 6-3 on Clubhouse. Mentioned very briefly that this is a good map for the Soniqs, but this is one that Liquid have also played a lot since SI and have only dropped, I believe, once, maybe twice. This is a map they play a lot, a map they win on a lot, and yet Soniqs find themselves up 6-3. And another opening pick, as Lagonis, found ratting on the Scopos inside a kitchen, gets hit by the Hibana pre-fire, and now another 5v4.
And the question mark as well in chat. So Soniqs with the early advantage here in round number 10. The threat of the Scopos dealt with on the roam, but there are still roamers in play. The Valkyrie and the Bandit, so Nest and Parley respectively, certainly a dangerous duo, are still situated on the second floor. That being said, Soniqs may look to take a little bit more of a direct approach. In the meantime, Nesk has rotated off, but Palu to play a sentry position over towards main stairs. Does Soniqs have a read on this?
Well, if there's anybody you want on Liquid to make the patience play, it's Palu. Anybody who's going to sit there, hold for the time being, but also that is willing to wait as long as he needs for the security that he's been misdrone. Now he peeks out. Rexon still checks it. I admire that, but Palu's able to get the kill and nobody in a position to trade. The Candela's going out. They've actually just moved down to the bottom floor. Bottom main is castled off, so Palu cannot support the team, meaning the anchors have to go big, and big do they go. Resets for 2, Nesk for 1, Surf for none, as Liquid stave off defeat.
Massive from Resets, playing that long position. I didn't see his POV necessarily, but I would make the educated guess that he wasn't flashed during that execute and was able to make that play, cut down the attack from Soniqs, who were a little bit one-dimensional. I don't see that in necessarily a negative sense, because I do think that the kitchen hatch stack was probably the right play in that situation, but not landing that trade proving to be quite devastating in that round, and Liquid just keep this match alive, which has very much been the trend of this opening map.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think, you look at the call they make, they got a 5v4 early. Palu gets that trade, as we knew, but I think Soniqs knew earlier than we did. Bottom main is castled off, so you know it's basically a guaranteed 4v3 on site, and you're the side with the Candelas. So you throw them in, you gamble it, of course, but still gamble on being able to overcome that man advantage. But as you say, Resets maybe playing anti-flash or something, tucked behind the box, dodges the Candelas entirely, puts Liquid in a position where that was a call that very well could have worked from the Soniqs, but one that doesn't end up panning out. But it is still the first place team from North America on map point, on Liquid's pick. And as we go to CCTV and Cash, I think if there was any game you would think the attack is most likely, or any site the attack is most likely to end the game on, Guz, maybe you disagree, I would consider it this one.
Yeah. I feel like over the last few months, the CC Cash meta has devolved into a bit of chaos.
Let me hold Garage. Oh, they have a Capital. Great.
And if they don't have the Capital, they have the Grim. Oh,
they don't have the Grim, they've got the Ying.
Yeah.
They got the Ying, they have the Monty.
Yeah. Whoever is tasked with playing Rafters in 2024 is a brave individual.
Like Rexon.
Yeah.
Big dog.
Well, it's Nesk this time around, though, on the dock. Double digits for him in this matchup, so performing up to expectation. Has had a couple of underwhelming maps here at Montreal, but certainly this is not one of them. Still will need to put in a performance here in this particular round. If Soniqs are to go for a garage hit, and again, their composition, especially with the Capital in place, suggesting that that will be the case, and the drone work as well from the North Americans, indicative of that. Oh, down below!
Wow! 3 times in a row now. Ambi's the one, or at least got an opening pick for the Soniqs 3 times in a row. Ambi's been the one to start it off twice. They maintain that advantage, though, and one of the players they kill, that Doc, you were able to find the Rafters player without expending a single bit of Capital utility. The Fire Bolts, you can cut off Red now. You can cut off the site. The ability to go in for a plant now is a lot more likely, though you do have to open flat wall.
Yeah, massive win condition now. Lost for Liquid. And that garage control and pressure from Soniqs will surely set themselves up for a default plant.
Ooh!
That was not ideal.
That timing right there. What was it? I think just reactivates or maybe misses because the EMP. I'm not entirely sure either way. Able to open it up. Bricks are closing it out onto resets now. Very brief hiccup on the journey goes, but I believe Soniqs still in a position to end it. C4 used very early as well. Poly will find Surf ready and waiting. Not the man with the diffuser though. Capitao does still hold it. Canadian on plat wall. The only issue here with 40 seconds left, he needs to be covered by Rexon, by the two attackers inside a garage. He uses the smoke grenade as cover, and Palu's now really wishing he had that C4. He could throw it over top, stop the game right here, but instead it's gotta be the Vector. 3 kills for the Mira, but now Soniqs are in the post. And what are you going to do? Canadian is in a very tricky spot, but Rexon on plat can win this. Can win this for Soniqs, win it 7-4. He's already got 1. Let's see if he can get 2. Palu knows he has to take this fight, just sees him for the briefest of seconds. But it's the IGL up close that slips through the cracks and gets the 7-4 for Soniqs. Liquid pick going their way.
Some big moments and some big individual plays in that opening map from Soniqs. Subverting expectations of, at minimum, a close opening map. I don't think a 7-4 would really be considered close, especially given it was Liquid's selection. But the fashion in which this map played out, absolutely insane. The opening 8 rounds, Liquid got the first kill, but their conversion rate, Carter, was just abhorrent.
What's the math right there? We've got 8 rounds where Liquid got the opening pick. They won 3 of them. It's one of those annoying fractions. It ends in like a repeating decimal, so I'm not entirely sure. But still, 3 out of 8 is not great for a conversion rate.
I don't have a math major, but it was lower than it should be.
Lower than half, we can guarantee you at least. But no, Soniqs taking that map, I think, a little bit quicker than we expected. But to be perfectly honest, I mean, there's a winnable game in there for Liquid. I mean, look at this round right there. Absolutely winnable game for Liquid in there with the amount of 1vx's we have. Not even really 1vx's, but 2vx's or 3vx's were the big one. 1-2 body leads that Liquid gave away. If you just add those up, that's a regulation victory with Liquid getting 4 rounds in this actual result. So many times they were able to outplay the Soniqs, and yet it was those individual players in the Soniqs, likely aided by the calling from everybody, whether it's Canadian or whoever, allowed them to reposition and get Liquid and catch them off guard completely. Strong attacks to end the game, though.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of talk, I think, in the pre-show about the mirror matchup and what the operator bans may shape up to be. I do wonder if, on reflection, Liquid maybe weren't in the best of positions to go for the double shield ban. Maybe they came back to bite them a little bit. Will we see it in the second map? Is that maybe the win con, you know, being taken away and extracted from their gameplay that cost them in this match potentially, especially late round?
I don't know, but we do have Kafe coming up next, and if you thought Clubhouse was difficult to attack for Liquid, it's Soniqs' pick, and that map's a whole lot harder to clear with the utility and the positions you can hold. But that is 1-0 for the Soniqs, 1 map away from qualifying to the Montreal main stage. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ouais, choc-les, choc-les, ouais, choc-les, 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 ouais, voilà ce qu'ils me disent, les entends parler et ils maîtrisent, j'arrête que pour rafler la mise, petit pas sur la piste, et le succès je l'ai pisté, disent que la place du premier, fais monter la côté, sur moi tu mises gros, tu connais déjà l'équipe, ça criera au complot, je prends le double, on est quitté, je fais la magie des chiffres. La somme je la triple, la concurrence la dribble et le stade est en délire, ça fait choquer, j'arrive pour tous les choquer, toute la foule elle est choquée, j'espère que t'es accroché, gauche droite esquive les rageux, coach m'a rajouté du temps de jeu, dans l'action ouais je me sens en feu, je suis on fire, je fais la différence au compteur, money time ça shoot sur le buzzer, je suis on fire, choqué, j'arrive pour tous les choquer, toute la foule elle est choquée, j'espère que t'es accroché, choqué, j'arrive pour tous les choquer, toute la foule elle
I've often heard it said, Guz, that it's not how you start, it's how you finish that's most important. And when you have Liquid winning 8 opening engagements in a row, yet losing a game 7-4, I think there is no better instance of that saying ringing true than Soniqs' performance on Clubhouse.
Absolutely. I wish that I could disagree with you just for the banter, but I cannot because the numbers do not lie. What an incredible first map from Soniqs, and Liquid needing to refocus here for the second of Kafe. Unfortunately for them though, it is the selection of Soniqs, who are now not only one map away from live stage, but in doing so, qualifying for the top 16 for Six Invitational 2025 in Boston, and even more critically, at least for me, knocking out Gaming Gladiators from Os.
Well, that's great, and I feel bad for the GG guys. I've met them, I like them. But let's be honest. Soniqs are the best team in North America, at least based on the rankings. And also, at this point, you know, outlasting the other NA teams at Montreal. Sure, they've got SSG there, but we'll see how that ends up panning out. But an American team missing an American SI, it just doesn't seem right. It just does not seem right. Soniqs, and Canadian especially, do not want to miss the 6 Invitational. 1 map away, but potentially 2 maps away from having to go through the LCQ if Liquid are able to make this comeback, if they're able to bounce back on Kafe and then close out Bank afterwards. We'll see how much fight they have in them, how much Hugzord, Nesk, Lagonis, and the rest have been able to put their heads together and figure a way back into this series.
Do they do it? No, they do not. Liquid elect not to go for the double shield ban this time around. We saw that back on Club with the Monty and the Blitz off the ball, but it is just the Montang this time, and so that will have impact on both teams. But with the Blitz still available, there's a bit more maneuverability. Maybe Liquid can play into Aruni as well.
I was gonna say, a lot of the times when you see one of those bans, usually the Castle or the Aruni, the big thing it's targeting is basically stopping you from extending into Stage and Cigar on the 3rd floor site. Though Aruni also useful, say on reading, you put in the Aruni gate on that door. If you're able to stall enough time on the top floor, they then might have to clear it when they go down or something like that. It's also just more utility the attack has to clear, whether it's Castles with the bulletproofs, Aruni with the electronics. But with the Azami being taken out as well, often when you have either the Castle, the Azami, or the Aruni, the Azami in this case, playing Stage, extending that far out, it's just not happening anymore.
Not fun to play into as the attack, really. Especially if you're a team that doesn't love playing the rappel game either, because you get stalled out the building for so long. You need to focus your efforts into the util clear, but not to be this time around. As we jump into the action, Soniqs, off the back of a phenomenal first map, will start their campaign here on Kafe. On defense, can we go for the opening round? But for me, I'm focusing more of my own personal attention on Liquid, right? Especially if we see a similar trend established where they're good in the early round. Let's see how their late round is this time around. What's going right, what's going wrong, and how have they adjusted from what they've learned back on the first map.
8-3 so far on the opening duels overall for Liquid. Nesk as well, I believe 5-1, if I'm correct, on the entry engagements for him in particular. We highlighted Nesk as a player that's been a bit hot and cold. Not bad at all, but some games he's really, really good. And some games he's just a little bit absent. Thankfully, when you have players like Maya, Palu, and even Resets, if he's putting up good numbers, that might not matter in the end. But still a player that when he is on, you do not want to lose a map when he has that really good performance, because often him, Maya, and Palu, if you get all of them activated at the same time, that can propel you to a really strong regulation victory, not just a close game. We'll see how Kafe is able to work out. I think as we saw earlier, briefly highlighted in the prep phase, Canadian was trying to hide the Echo away from Team Liquid. We'll see if they were able to spot it, but there is no IQ on the board right now. So if they have not learned of the Echo's presence, moments like this, Canadian moving the Yokai outside to try and catch anybody on the rappel could be very, very important.
It does mean that Palu has a critical role in this round with those shock drones. There's so much utility that he can look to contest. Most notably the Yokais, but also the canisters from Goyo as well, which will be pre-placed, presumably for the default coffee plant position. So we may get a view in a moment's time as to how much utility he's able to clear, at least with this initial shock drone.
I just spotted the Yokai sprinting in.
Does he actually get it, though? Not quite.
That moves quick. It's already inside his sight. Can't go chasing it with like 8 people like stomping their feet around. Like there's a team in Ratatouille that looked like that. Like people walking around the kitchen, he's running across the floor. Have you seen Ratatouille?
I have. Not for a long time, though.
Okay. was about to say, you don't strike me as a movie person. There's probably... Really? Oh, wait, no, I literally have...
You have me on Letterboxd.
Wow, I actually just trolled as a friend right there. That's my bad. I'm actually really sorry about that.
You can cast the rest of this round.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. I understand that. Palu has been good so far, or at least, Guz, I think you can agree. Liquid have been good at clearing out this Vulcan pack so far. Heard a couple destroyed. He's even got a Twitch drone still in pocket.
Yeah. But utility hasn't really been a major concern for Liquid throughout this match so far. Their utility clearance and groundwork, generally speaking, back on Clubhouse, was rather solid. It mostly came down to positioning and the playmaking opportunities that Soniqs were able to find seemingly out of nowhere in most cases back on that first map that Liquid couldn't shut down. Back to the usual game, Pilot again, another shock drone in place. 40 seconds on the clock, and I think both teams at this point in time kind of content with how it's played out, but the drop to come through.
I was going to say, now we're starting to trend to that point where those individual decisions from the Soniqs might end up mattering a whole lot. There you go. Grixer lurking around the double door position, able to catch Lagonis as he moves into the site. Palu the next to fall, pops up again. Grixer tagging up the player in the freezer quite heavily, locks onto the head afterwards. All that setup, all that work, and it is a flawless round for Soniqs to start. I was content with that first 2.5 minutes, guys. I saw the utility clear, I loved it, and then guess what happens? Soniqs rat in the late round, and Liquid aren't aware of it.
Yep.
Run, Pablo, run! 1 round at a time. Let's go mining bunk, mining bunk. One round at a time.
How was he moving like that? What was he doing with his arms? You know what's funny? This is a very niche NA reference. Not even really niche. I was watching Grixer stream one time, and he actually hit the craziest clutch I've ever seen from that exact position that he was playing right
Really?
there. It was in ranked. He did like a freezer draw, and he had a shotgun, an M590 instead of the T5. And one guy was coming out of freezer. He pops up, shoots that guy, hops back down, and as he hops back up, there's a guy vaulting over the top, and he kills him too. It was crazy. 3K for him in that round, though. I mean, what do you really say about that? I mean, Liquid have all that set up. They clear the Vulcan packs. Don't think they really find the Yokais, but I mean, Soniqs just anchoring, holding the same positions they held before, and Liquid don't have an opening kill, so at least it's not really a failed conversion, but like, kind of felt like the same problem we saw before, even if it was a 5v5.
I think it was super that I heard say it was like make them do the work. And we saw that perfectly in terms of the body language and positioning from Soniqs. Rather static, but didn't really feel the need to have to move around all too much. They still also had a yokai up as well, which did help facilitate that opening engagement. And so whilst the util clearance overall was pretty good from Liquid, they did fall short in that department in not spotting out those yokais. And we saw that little mini game play out throughout the round where Parley was finding them difficult to track. So a testament to Canadian in positioning those correctly, and then the rest of the team converting upon that information and the opportunities that then presented with limited time on the clock.
Talk about the ops real quick. Saw Doc 2 times in a row now. I believe it was Surf last time, and Rexon picking up that tool again. Likely going to be playing around Pixel, as it is not a top floor defense, but basically if you're defending any site that isn't the bottom floor, you will have some presence on the top floor. Rexon not over by Pixel, instead destroying some of the utilities. Some of the drones that placed Bs will go out, try to spot him. Ambi trying to pop up, replicate some of that success Grixer had in round 1, but he does not reach those same heights. No 3 kills for him. In fact, it is 0 inside of round 2. Surf also taking a lot of HP, or taking a lot of damage, but Rexon will be able to stim him back up. Soniqs are looking to make Liquid do the work. Well, it'll be a little bit harder. Canadian with that pulse, able to land a C4, but Liquid maintain that advantage. I think everyone has already fallen back down to the bottom. It is a mining and fireplace defense at the moment, so all this vertical is great, but you will have to move to the opposite side at some point.
As is typically the case, Canadian with the pulse information from below, and talk about pressure from below. Surf with the shotgun, able to find Nesk, who had a good start to this round, but will play no further role. 60 seconds then on the clock. And Liquid need to be a little bit more particular in their positioning in the late round, because Soniqs time and time again continue to maneuver themselves into round-winning positions. Palu outside on terrace. The drop to come through, diffuser in hand, and it will be a reading stack at least initially.
At least initially, but Grixer again trying to hit the rat behind the bookcase, and there's no intel. The Ash sprints in, diffuser now dropped. Hits the prone afterwards, trying to hold that. How does he even win it? Bit of an awkward awkward flick to prone like that, but bearing 9, no problem. Case control, 2K. Grixer, a really strong performance through rounds 1 and 2.
Grixer's win con is just hit prone button and get kill.
He's been, I will say, even though maybe it's just a new confidence in Soniqs, you know, Rexen likes to peek. Ambi likes to peek. Surf, a bit more passive, likes to peek. Grixer's always been that lurker. He's always been a bit more patient to let the team come to them. And when this defense so far, it's been the exact same thing.
That's the exact strategy that has served him and the team pretty well in this match so far. A couple of issues continuing to compound for Liquid, a lack of time in the late round, and, well, seemingly a lack of information as well.
Another failed conversion.
Yep. It's a very damning stat at this point.
9-4.
Well, they still had 3 drones, and they committed to the reading drop without properly getting vision on this position.
Keeps feeling like that dilemma. They just feel like we've seen it from a lot of teams. It seems like something so simple, but the time really starts getting to them. They start saying, hey, we've only got 35 seconds left, only got 30 seconds left. It's a 3v3. We got to make a play. And so many players, Jigsaw is somebody who did this very well at the tournament. Throughout Chief's run, has been kind of getting into sight or positions on or near the site that go undroned. Rexen did it earlier a couple times on map 1. Grixer has done it twice now on map 2, though I think that position with the Yeko being the more egregious of the two, as at least you might expect somebody playing that position as the Legion. But in reading, if you're going to go for that drop, you need to check that. It's not just like somewhere inside of the site. You got to make sure if you're walking through a room that's not actually on the site itself that you have that information. As we are going to reading and fireplace as our third defense. It could be the exact same thing if Canadian's ratting on the Solus or if Grixer's holding Nang with a shotgun, but that's a little bit of a different situation. The Solus tries to move all the way upstairs, gets cut off as a result. Liquid with another 4v3, but as opposed to last time, this feels very, very early.
Yeah, Rexen committing to an aggressive jump out and ultimately punished. And with that, Liquid retain their man advantage into this final minute 50. And this is, again, another really good opportunity for Liquid to just settle. They still have plenty of drones available. And they can look to break down this defense. Another for Palu. Serve falls and Nest. Well, the bearing 9 serves him well.
I didn't even know he was there. Or no, Ambi was still on this top floor. Grixer, a bit of a reversal from the last time, not baiting on the site, but instead trying to hit the flank. There's really not a lot of options for him, unfortunately, to bring this round back. Dokubi call going out, spots one, but there's already another player deep, close inside of the site behind that bookcase. Lagonis with the diffuser. Nice shotgun kill right there, but unfortunately, I think lacking a bit of the information. Could pre-fire the bookcase. That's a nice shot, but let's not get too ridiculous. It's already got a post point. We've already got the time on Liquid's side. And with somebody moving up Red Hall, not a whole lot Grixer can do. Did he get a little too close for comfort? Perhaps. But ultimately, Liquid were still comfortable to put their first round on the board.
I think we do the big again.
Solid work there then from Liquid. Bit of an awkward start to the round for Soniqs, especially for Canadian. He began that roam over towards Closet, trying to play into the utility on the Solus and disrupting the drone economy, but then got caught. And as I believe you were trying to point out to me, it is a successful conversion for Liquid.
Not just that. We got these 2 picks.
Nest. Took me a moment.
7-1 so far on the entries. I want to highlight that still, this is a very strong player for Liquid right now at a moment where he absolutely needs to be. In a bit of a strange way, even though the Liquid stats kind of looked better for them on Clubhouse than the Soniqs did. I mean, everyone generally kind of being pretty competitive or pretty even on Clubhouse. It was Palu and Nesk leading the way, though Palu with a bit of a sleeper 13-7 on map 1. But Nesk still putting in very, very good numbers so far. And if he's consistently getting you these entries, the fact that you are able to convert that last round, though it comes after the failure of the second, it is still important, and it is still something that I think Liquid will feel very good on, that the early round really is not a problem, but it just needs to continue to be this late round focus, tightening things up, like we just saw in round 3 that got them that first attack. Go back down to Kitchen, and for the first time this half so far, this game so far, a shield is picked, and it is Liquid to do it.
There was a small part of me that forgot that the Blitz was actually still available in this match, and we'll see it to great effect already here from Lagonis on the map clear.
Hello.
Contesting white stairs already. Canadian up close.
Ooh, hunting him down, but it's just a pinch. Palu instead, ooh, cutting off that Valkyrie's rotation. Ambi tries to get the trade, but bit off almost a little more than he could chew, with the Blitz moving in from the top and Palu holding down below. The VIP player now on quite low HP. Nesk also working his way into the lobby, though you can see the Goyo clearly worried about it, but Lagonis again looking to move into a position to capitalize off of this control established by Next. To get this 5v3, he will finally swing out, spots the Warden, tags him a little lower, but instead it's Surf to find that pick. Lagonis trying to sprint in, but oh my god! Surf going massive with the MP5, Ambi just adding insult to injury. Liquid seem to have the play. Set up off that control from Nesk, send the Blitz in, pinch out the player in VIP close on the door, it doesn't matter, just get the advantage. And yet Surf thinks otherwise. With one magazine, he gets 3 for 1. Resets might move his way into the site, but he's got no control of the diffuser. He gets 1 impactless frag so far, and his efforts will only be validated if he wins this 1v4. Reveal his position by shooting open that barricade. Soniqs do not need to push this. They've got the diffuser. They have a 3-way crossfire. Front, left, and right angles covered. Resets will check one first. Misses that shot, and it's easy for Surf to swing around the corner. 4 pieces for the rookie. His first international event continues to show why he might just be one of the best players in Montreal.
You're something like Batman, bro. Where'd you come from? The UAV.
Yeah, huge effort from that bar position. But a testament really to the entire structure from Soniqs there in identifying where the shield of the Blitz was and then formulating a plan to establish those crossfires, apply a ton of pressure onto those positions and not give any ground, any picks for free to Liquid, who tried to brute force and exploit that position. Didn't quite convert it. And there's been a couple of those rounds so far where Surf has had a mighty individual effort, not always, you know, necessarily translating to a round win, but in that case it very much was. Here is that replay package. And yeah, just zooming around, finding all those picks, no trade.
Next with a question, because I don't think anybody was intending to challenge Surf. But that is who they ended up fighting in the end. 6-3, or 0-3, sorry. I was about to highlight Lagonis' stats, and then I had to squint a little closer as my vision is going. 0-3 for Lagonis so far. Not terrible, though. I'm not going to highlight that as like a reason they're losing. Really, it's just Soniqs are individually just there today. It can sometimes be as simple as that. Rexon is making the right moves in really important moments. Grixer is making the right moves in really important moments. And Surf, in the case of last round, is hitting shots when they absolutely need to connect. 3-1 as a result. Only dropped 1 round on their defenses so far. We're going back now to Mining and Fireplace, the second site they went to, and one where, gotta say it, guys, Liquid got an opening pick, got a 5v4, then what happened? We're unable to convert. 3 opening picks so far, by the way. Just want to get that out there. Why are you looking at me like that?
Every time you bring up the lack of opening kill conversion, you stare into my soul.
I do. Why could that be?
Well, Carter, if Soniqs are to go on and win this series, qualify for main stage, they will essentially replace Gaming Gladiators in the global standings for the top 16 for SI25. Great for NA, not so much for Rose.
Very good for NA right there. Very rare Canadian opening duel victory. 9x19, getting a 5v4 for Soniqs. Blitz taking a lot of damage. Just talking to Jesse about this and highlighted a bit at the beginning of the show as well. Shield play not exactly being as consistent as a lot of teams would like. Seems like they're getting countered, not necessarily easily, but always taking a lot of damage when they actually try to get control.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that trend at this event. Seems like defensive units are cluing in a little bit more as to how they could try and nullify these powerful shields. Minute on the clock though, and at least some control up above for Liquid. Third floor vacated. Every nook and cranny now cleared. Liquid need to be mindful of any potential movements in terms of a flank opportunity that Soniqs may look to go for, but such has been the case in these 4 versus 5s. To the advantage of Soniqs, they have more often than not double down, triple down on their efforts on site itself, and not given away much in the wave of free. The only, I was going to say only player on the first 4 is Surf, but Envy as well down below, so keep that in mind in the late round.
Recalling the words of Super right now, make them do the work. Make them come to you seems to be the mantra of the Soniqs in round 5. Palu will answer it. He makes it a 4v4 very late and takes control of red stairs. An important position if you want to put the diffuser actually down inside of mining. Lagonis will move off of that control. And as Maya cuts down the cap can, Liquid have suddenly made a round out of seemingly nothing. Palu cuts off the red rotate close, and it's just Surf flanking up above. Snapshot onto Maya. But Liquid have very quietly crept into round 5. And I don't think Surf's still fully realizing the position he's in. Blitz just waiting outside in Red Hall, not even sprinting after him. Playing a bit of defense right now as he knocks him against the wall. Liquid content with the 4v5, and they insert Palu at the bottom of red stairs, and that is just enough to not only reclaim that advantage, but to get an execute, move into the post plant, and close out round 5.
Let's go reading Russia.
Lagonis is the primary planter for Team Liquid, and he identified an opportunity there in the previous round with a little bit of utility and assistance to dash across, plant in a position that wasn't susceptible to a Nitro cell from down below, and then backed in the rest of the team to cover. Red Hall, for instance, that was probably the biggest weak point there for the attack, but the kill was found, the plant secured, and Surf was then left in a bit of an awkward position where his roam had little impact.
It's a bit of an awkward spot, because if somebody else holds out, if you have a 2v3 even, Surf's flank has a lot more probability of being impactful, because somebody can draw attention on the site. Surf can take the 1v1 on the top floor. He clearly wins it, as we all just saw. And then at that point, especially Lagonis on a shield, he's in a really tricky spot. Do you sprint at the one guy on site? Do you try and just back up and do what you were doing? But with Surf not having any support on that site, it kind of looks silly in the end, even though I think that was the right play to make. It absolutely was good to retake the vertical control, take the fight with the guy on the top floor. Just by events that happen around that, it ends up, unfortunately, having less of an impact than he would have liked.
So then the final round of the half, Liquid continue to look competitive, although Soniqs probably, as a whole, a little bit better. And we'll see if they can actually grow their lead here in the final round of the half. In terms of the attacking composition, we are going to see Deimos in play this time around, and so that means that the Blitz has been substituted out.
Lagonis on the Deimos. I think Maya dropping 19 kills against G2 on the top be enough to make him the insta-lock Deimos, but Lagonis said, no. I'm getting slapped around on the Blitz. I would like the Deathmark trackers, please. See what he's able to do with it. It is a reading room defense from Soniqs at the moment, so you can't necessarily go below and get vertical on those players playing Cocktail right now. Could have an impact later on once you actually secure the vert itself, or maybe to hunt down any roamers moving around the Kafe at the moment. Look at this lurk from Maya, though. Moving up to the top floor as Rexen does find that Deimos very early on. It'll be the other intel op. The Dokkaebi start giving information to Maya down below. We'll spot one up above. Cam also off. Working up red when nobody from Soniqs knows right now. The round might end before he can have an impact. He gets that kill on Ambient, but now his presence is known. A 1v1 appears inside of mining. It's Canadian holding passive. And yet all of this energy, all of this aggression from Maya, it is just being answered with nothing. The only thing they get in response is gunfire from the Soniqs. Bullets and no quarter given. So Nesk in a really tricky spot with very little options will fall just like the rest to angles already being held. 4v2 for Soniqs. Frankly, feels like that's exactly what it should be, which kind of weird after Clubhouse.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And another example of just the cool, calm, collected, and certainly patient approach from Soniqs, just continuing to be rewarded. There's been few instances over the course of this series where Liquid are the ones catching Soniqs off guard, catching freebies, getting free openings, being able to apply meaningful pressure. Typically, it's gone the other way, where Liquid are maybe being forced into plays that aren't particularly high percentage. And Soniqs, who, again, are looking sharp mechanically as well, are converting these opportunities really nicely.
I heard him pull the pin on the name, just swung.
I think what we just heard right there, very good for your point. Rexon says, I heard that guy pull a nade and I swung.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, Maya tries to catch Soniqs off guard by looking at Brown, and by the time he actually surprises Ambi, they've already entered a 3v4. There are attempts by Liquid to do that. There are attempts by Liquid, or were attempts in that attack, to actually surprise Soniqs, and it just didn't work most of the time, whereas for Soniqs, they were getting those lucky timings. They were getting those good positions to swing around and get an important kill to make it a 4v3 or a 3v4. One of the two. So they get a 4v2, but I mentioned that feels like that half was deserved overall. It didn't feel like Liquid were necessarily throwing advantages like we saw in Clubhouse. It really felt like wherever the momentum was trending over the course of the round was really where it ended up landing, or the round ended up landing in any specific camp. So as Liquid go to their defenses, now let's look for the same thing. How are they going to be wasting time? How are they going to be holding these sites? We're on the first floor right now, and, well, there is nobody on white stairs or inside of VIP.
Yeah, Soniqs identified that, and it looks like they may posture for a freezer-centric hit. Time and time again, teams will be attacking this site with a VIP hold, and it will take a lot of time and effort to clear it, but it's certainly not the case this time around, and even reception as well, left unguarded by Liquid.
It's got to be part of the plan, right?
Bait and switch, I suppose. Ambi does get caught.
That was the Kochek player. Another one coming down Brown now. Rexon will look to find that kill, though the Fenrir immediately falls off that fight. An opportunity for a trade. Right as I say that, Grixer does find that opening.
I'll tell you what, there's a bit of Soniqs about that play there.
I was about to say, felt like I was watching Rexon in the late round as Maya creeps up to the Selma breach and is able to peek that very player, Rexon, on the ace afterwards. Grixer now on cleanup duty as the round is starting to get a bit messy for Soniqs. He's taking control of reading, but Nesk, I believe, hears it, or is at least aware of this possibility, which is good game sense from him. Doesn't really need to do much right now, but the Dokkaebi call goes out. And now he's in a bit of a rough spot. You can't turn off the call, or he'll try to, actually. Grixer hears it, so he moves to the soft wall, sees the head hole, and there's Nesk ready and waiting. Canadian just in the sight, by the way. Has melee Lagonis, but it's only good for a 2v2. Surf and Grixer separated by the floors right now, so they will need to regroup and coalesce on the bottom as Grixer drops Freezer and Surf playing the brown bar. They do not have Diffuser. That was held by Canadian and now dropped inside of the site. Surf has lost a lot of HP moving down to this bottom floor. But if he pre-fires that prone angle right there, and if Maya overexposes himself, could find himself in a really tricky position. Resets on the close angle too. We'll just see somebody around the bomb chassis. But still, Soniqs do not have this Diffuser. But Grixer is able to creep over, grab it, knock it onto the floor, and try his best to put this Diffuser down with Surf watching, rotating around. Resets is able to get the trade. Grixer tries to bait this out, call Resets bluff, and move us into the post. In the dead of night, Soniqs have managed to make this a winnable situation. 1v1, flashbang, Grixer's final secondary utility goes out. With the super shorty, Resets might be favored, goes for the race swing, it comes up short.
Way to work the fucking round!
Massive performance for Grixer, bringing back a round that Soniqs were doing their best to throw away.
Keep it dialed, keep it dialed. Yo, Dame, let that guy rock bake there, hey? Heat check.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, you're pussy.
You got time.
I'm really loving the vibes from Soniqs over the course
Vibes
of this
are good
match.
right now. Vibes are very, very good.
And a bit of a contrast to a far quieter Team Liquid over the course of this series. Some flashes of brilliance from the defense there in the prior round, and I really did think that their disruptive nature was going to maybe be enough to get the result across the line. But again, when it comes to the clutch, Soniqs have just been far better so far in this match. In 2 versus 2, able to remain composed, and even down into 1v1 post, up close, shots landing.
One round, guys. Score is 0-0. 1 round at a time. It's
Super
not
calling the
done.
reset mentally, and I think that's probably the right approach. A 3-round lead, but that can dissipate.
You're better than them.
Look at this shit.
Super calling, it's 0-0, just 1 round at a time. Pretend it is a brand new game. And it did feel very much like Soniqs were Liquid and Liquid were Soniqs in that round. As you mentioned, a lot of the plays that Liquid were making on the defense, they were catching Soniqs off guard. It was really, really strong by Liquid just to get those kills over on Soniqs. Say Soniqs were trying their best to throw away. Really, the only reason that was they're throwing was Soniqs were just a little surprisingly missing shots where they have been so clean this whole time. It's not a fault of theirs, of course, but I mean, you look at the scoreline, Surf obviously 9-3. I mean, we don't even need to talk about Surf at this point. But Grixer, second lowest rated player at the tournament so far, having an outstanding Kafe. 11-3 at the moment, breaking double digits through that round. Also getting a 3K in the basement, or the kitchen round earlier on. Grixer, most of his kills have really come from, hey, we are in danger of losing this round. So on Freezer, I peek, 3K, we win. Reading, I crouch behind the bookcase, peek, we win. That round, lurking upstairs at the Dokkaebi, able to get another multi-frag and get Soniqs that third round. He has been the closer for the Soniqs when things have seemed dark.
The blitz initially teased from Canadian here for the 8th round, but he repicks on to the Kali, and those Lancers should provide pretty good value into the lineup presented by Liquid. Most notably, the Castle and the Mirror combination. He could deal with that from range and help alleviate some of the pressure onto the other attackers who will be looking to get boots on the ground. Ambi as well with Ash, and so those charges can be effective as well. It is a top floor extension from Liquid, as expected. As you can see, 3 outlines on the top floor. The first of the Lancers there from Canadian. Was it effective? Well, he jumps up and confirms that it, in fact, wasn't. Does need to be mindful of this swing here. Nesk in washrooms is looking to find an angle as Canadian struggles to open up the mirror.
You always got to be careful when you use those lances on a mirror that is placed inside. Of course, it's susceptible to a whole lot of things. This double mirror setup actually allowing Nesk, just seeing the edge of the Ash. Takes a fight with her, but the mirror window is now cracked. As much as they have been struggling with the top white mirror window, the other one a little bit easier to find. But half the round is gone now, and Soniqs have been almost entirely focused on that utility clear. It is a reading room defense. This is not the site. Soniqs are starting to tunnel vision on this utility that is important, but ultimately is not the target. Drop down Skylight now, reset swinging around. We'll find Rexon. He's got to be a bit careful as Canadian pushes up Whitehall, but it's Surf actually taking control of the Palace position, giving Soniqs the lead.
60 seconds then on the clock. Ambi probably trying to find himself in this match, only the 2 kills so far. As we see Liquid reposition accordingly. Soniqs have been so good in gaining late round information throughout this match. 5 drones still remain as well, and that could be a difference maker for them in the round.
Absolutely. There's a Dokkaebi call as well. We'll see what information they can find. Z-ping on the Kali. Canadian hard scoping for that kill, not letting Lagonis move an inch out of his line of sight. Grixer will move into train as a result of that information. As Maya starts fighting back, it's important that Soniqs do not let up off the gas. Grixer 11-3 right now, who has been very good in these situations where the intel from Liquid are lapsing. When there are some gaps in their defense, Canadian moving to the opposite side, stunned by the Yokai, but will make it in sight. Starts putting this diffuser down. Grixer holding red, but will lose an important engagement to Palu. With a slow peek and the shotgun, not enough against Surf's M4. It has been a slow game, and yet one undeniable truth remains. Soniqs have gotten the better of Liquid. Attack or defense, it does not matter. 6-2, 1 round away from the 6th Invitational.
I've never seen a Cali like this. No, he was under the vert.
The vibes in the Soniqs camp
He was under the vert the whole time.
continue to be fun to watch. And I think that's probably an apt word for this series from their perspective. They played some pretty fun Siege, and it's been really effective. In that prior round, again, Liquid with an okay start, but with a wealth of information available to Soniqs, some really good problem-solving skills as well implemented, able to isolate those players who were forced to disperse. In doing so, they confirmed the round, and as you mentioned, not only are they 1 round away from the final phase here at the Montreal Major, but also 1 round away from the top 16 in the global standings.
And what a comeback for them. What a bounce back. I mean, stage 1 was, it was horrible. The wheels falling off the wagon. Trading out your IGL halfway through stage 1. Dropping Grixer, bringing him back, making a run in LCQ, yet failing to qualify for Manchester. BDS were in a similar position last year, and ultimately they fell short to qualify for SI at Atlanta, needing to make it to the semi-finals. And they ultimately were not able to do that. But Soniqs here have a bit of an easier road. All they had to do was make it to main stage. All they had to do was make it to quarters. And after bouncing back from that stage 1, bringing on Canadian, winning the NA League, sure, they went down 0-2, but Guz, maybe you disagree, but it felt like with how close those games were, Soniqs, this comeback was always there. It felt like this performance was always in them.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the first Elim game against G2 that I wouldn't be shocked, and I don't think many would be surprised if Soniqs are to make this run. And I think this match will really be the cherry on top as to why they deserve that distinction. They've played, again, really good Siege this afternoon. But the job's not done, and as Super said himself, a 0-0 mindset must be employed. Otherwise, mistakes could creep in. Liquid get the opening kill. How much does that mean? Well, perhaps not much.
Let's find out. Maya gets the second, and still not a guarantee given the trend of this game, but that still matters a whole lot more than just one. 100% increase, 1-2. Don't scoff at that. Could matter quite a bit. Liquid again catching Soniqs off guard with resets, playing behind the skylight balcony, or the skylight desk. Now 2 players have fallen since then as well. Liquid have just taken isolated 1v1s against SQ, won every single one of them. But look at this, Canadian hops in the window. No way, Grixer's in, no, he's in train.
Huh?
They've got no idea this is going on. The Yokais aren't in position. They'll only realize after the fact. He's already hopped out the window, but they've got a 5v2. They can start flying out of windows, flying back into the site. There's no way that Liquid go out like this. They found out that Grixer is inside of train, so that bit of information is there, but the hatch is closed. There's no vertical angle to look on this Twitch. They've got to sprint through the site. They've got to push on through. They've got to break Sonic's stranglehold, but half the time is gone. Only 10 seconds remaining. The countdown begins. Canadian holding outside. Surely this is it. You've got the man count. You're not gonna let him do it to you. And will they? Will they get on in time? Just 1 second to spare. A 1v1 in the end, but Maya, less cheers, more a sigh of relief. As potentially one of the most massive chokes is narrowly averted.
I think all they can do is laugh, and a nervous laugh at that at the conclusion of the round for Liquid. How have they allowed that to happen? I mean, credit to Soniqs again to find an opportunity and a win condition out of absolutely nowhere and almost converting it, but Liquid, wow. Insane that they've allowed that plant to go down, but ultimately the retake a success. Credit to the Grixer sneaking into train. I don't think anybody saw that coming, and he did a good job in stalling out that push, but just short of the mark. They only needed to find a couple more seconds, Soniqs, but
I mean,
unable to do so.
Literally, if Grixer just gets a kill, if Grixer just gets a kill, that's 7-2 for the Soniqs. They're not faulting Grixer. You're in a 2v5, and like everybody's moving onto the site. Like, not your fault. Like they just outnumber you. You know, like 2.5 to 1 basically. But still, the fact that we got that close. I mean, geez, what a read by the Soniqs, as you said. Grixer working his way in, calling the Canadian, and the confidence to go for it too. 1 second separated Maya hitting that counter defuse and Soniqs qualifying for the 6th Invitational. Even in victory, Soniqs are still at the forefront of Liquid's mind with how close that round was. So as we go to Cocktail, likely, I doubt we'll see a round play out just like that. As even Liquid, I think, will be more cautious of the site from here going forward.
I will say, though, it was one of the rare rounds throughout this series where Soniqs, through the early to mid portion, gave away 3 uncontested picks. It did unravel pretty quickly for the attack. That's a trend that has certainly not been the case for them. And so, a very small blemish on a record so far this afternoon. That's been very strong. Above would go for round number 10. And a lot of utility brought once more by the attack to deal with the likes of the castle barricades. Drone work from Soniqs continues to be a big strength for them. No mirror in play, and so Ambi can use those Ash charges elsewhere this time around for the barbed wire on the drop down road. Still has another one in the pocket if he elects to use it as well. There is a shop extension in play. Again, the expectation with the castle on the board. We'll see how Liquid look to play around this.
three players biased towards the side right now, though. Maya will find one, playing over towards Cocktail. Looking to hit that Shiko peek right there. Just see the sliver of the head peeking the skylight. Canadian thinks better on the Deimos of all operators. Won't be a factor in this round going forward. Ambi worried about his backside with somebody flanking up red. Quick shot onto Lagonis and almost a faster reaction onto the player swinging red stairs. Palu backing out a shop right now. The castle barricade's not broken though, so Palu is a bit cut off. Yet Ambi could say the same. Him and Grixer will consolidate, but not a lot Soniqs can do at the moment.
Yeah, Liquid will establish a double cross in through Lounge, and so that means these players pushing from red stairs could find themselves in a tricky position. Skylight drop could be a potential opportunity. Rexon identifying that. Sweeps the diffuser up, tucks it under his arm. 50 seconds on the clock. They do, again, have good late round info.
They do. They have that Dokkaebi call as well. Ambi will see one inside his stage, and they get a very important pick. Rexon gets the kill immediately after that Skylight drop. Still in a disadvantage, but at least you've worked your way into the site. Knows a 1v1 is waiting for him on Cocktail with that Z-ping information. We'll keep firing shots through the wall, but Soniqs have been walking such a difficult tightrope this entire round up until this point. But Grixer is able to deal with some of that backside pressure, and now they can start focusing more towards the front. Rexon is so worried about these players, though, that he has yet to put the diffuser down. Still 15 seconds left, but time is a factor. It's starting to slip away. He gets over towards Grixer, and the Dokkaebi has to hold. SMG-11 for close, but what is that flick? Just an errant spray. He takes the head off Maya, and Nesca's gotta go big! So good this series, but the one kill he needed to land is the one that will slip away. 7-4, 7-3, Soniqs make main stage at Montreal and qualify for the 6th Invitational.